Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Sarah Says. It's a delight to have everybody here and just doing the best I can to manage all this technology. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate everybody being so patient with me. And y'all have been great to give me a lot of feedback, and that has been extremely valuable. So the format for today is this is a 30-minute workshop on gratitude, a little bit of history on the science of gratitude, a lot of practical advice, and then there's going to be 30 minutes of Q&A. We do it workshop style, so I'm going to pull up a PowerPoint here in just a minute, but I always like to take a second to say hello to everybody. I like to say hello to Shannon and Sam and Nelda and Lori. And I don't think I missed anybody so far. I just want to tell you how much I appreciate y'all being here, and please share this. Right now is a difficult time. I've talked about gratitude for years, but we are living in a very angry, upset, difficult moment in history, moment in our lives. And I don't honestly think we necessarily have the tools that we need to navigate it. And so that's what I'm here for. I'm trying to share with you everything I know, everything I've learned. I'm not going to waste time telling you all about me. There's an intro video with more information than you could ever possibly want to know about me and my history and what qualifies me to be here, what personal experiences I've had that may be helpful for you to understand where I'm coming from. So I've got links to that in the description for every video so that you can find it. But for today, we're going to go ahead and get started. So give me a second and I will make all this technology bend to my will. So the first thing I want to do is do a disclaimer. I think it's critically important that you understand I'm not a medical doctor, therapist, counselor, psychologist, psychiatrist, any of those things. So if you are currently under the care of someone who is prescribing medication for you, or if you're going to therapy, please do not stop anything they've told you to do, start anything that they haven't told you to do. Don't change any treatment without consulting with them first. I am sharing with you everything I know. I am a master life coach. I am an emotional intelligence coach. I'm all these coaches, but if you are under medical or psychological care, do what they tell you. Talk to them before you change anything. Your health and safety, mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional is truly my utmost concern. So here we go. So you hear a lot about gratitude, and I think it's super important. I believe in sugar-free positivity. So what I want you to shift your thinking from and to is gratitude isn't, oh, I'm so grateful for this horrible thing that's happening. I'm sure everything happens for a reason and I'm going to be a better person, because that is inauthentic. I think extreme gratitude is where we say, wow, the suckage in this event right now is extreme. It's horrible. It's really bad. And yet, what am I supposed to be doing, learning, growing, experiencing? Watch the intro video so that you know that I have really had some horrible things happen to me. And until I learned the practice of extreme gratitude, I suffered greatly. There's a difference between going through suffering and living suffering. Okay, I became suffering. And by learning how to be grateful, and by learning that gratitude isn't always how I feel, it's when I put my intention over instinct. And my instinct might be to rage against a machine, to blame people, to whine, moan, bellyache, wallow, whatever. And I have done all of those things. It's to intentionally choose to not do that, and to instead develop a sense of wonder when possible, appreciation, awe of life and how all things seem to come around in spite of what's going on. I have notes, and if you'll indulge me, this is what helps me keep them on track and on time. So the thing that I think is so important to understand is there's a lot of conversation right now about freedom. And we think freedom means the ability to do whatever we want. But I believe the reality is exactly the opposite. Discipline is freedom, because if we do what we want, when we want, we are actually slaves to our passion and our instinct. And our passion may be mood, it may be driven by some sort of unhealthy desire. And when we exert discipline, we can choose, we can live intentionally, we change our habits, we change our thinking, which then changes our choices. And then we have true freedom because I'm choosing. I'm not an amoeba in a petri dish that gets poked and prodded and responds instinctually, which is not always in my favor. And so I want you to be thinking about gratitude comes from the fundamental understanding of how magical we are. Literally, we are matter and energy. The materials that make up our body came from exploding stars. And I've heard it said that the atoms in your left hand come from a different star than the atoms in your right hand, possibly. And that we are the universe. I mean, literally, we forget how magical we are. And so the practice of extreme gratitude is taking a step back from what's going on immediately around us, and breathing and pausing and taking that step to say, I am alive, I am magical, now what? Because in prior classes, I've talked about this. It isn't about what happens to us or what someone says to us. It's about what happens next. And all of that comes from freedom from discipline. Freedom that is born of discipline, not freedom from discipline, but freedom born of discipline, where I get to choose. And so I want you to be thinking about the practice of extreme gratitude as being a foundation on which you get to have unshakable love, unshakable peace. What is going on right now? I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. I'm sure y'all may feel the same. It is batshit crazy out there, but I can't control that. And it is an illusion to think that I can. I can influence it, but I can't control it. And so the only thing that I can control is me. And gratitude, emotional intelligence is what we talked about last week. This week, gratitude is one of the ways that I can exert control over me. If you do have questions, I want you to feel free to type them in, but I'm not going to get to them until I had someone private message me. So you're welcome to type in questions as you think of them. I'll answer them here in about 20 minutes. Okay. So I want to talk about the power of gratitude. And it's pretty interesting because I have seen a ton of studies about gratitude. And from my perspective, it is usually only studies are done on like normal, healthy people. But I want you to know that what happens if we struggle with depression, or what happens if we struggle with anxiety? There was a study by Berkeley on people who were preparing to enter into counseling. And what it ended up showing is that by them engaging in a small practice of writing one thank you letter a week, that for months, I think it was, when I look at my notes, it was 3 or 4 months after their counseling ended, they were scoring higher than the control group in terms of their happiness and how they felt that their counseling was progressing. That expressing gratitude, the act of it, has physical, psychological, physiological, it has an impact on us, and it tends to be long lasting. So if you continue a practice of gratitude and wonder and awe, then you will be changing the outcome of your life on a daily basis. But wait, there's more. So I want you to be thinking about what are we all after, right? We all want happiness, but how do we get there? And so gratitude is what I think the highway. I think it is the highway to happiness, because it was interesting where I found some research that talked about how When we express gratitude, our brain releases dopamine and serotonin, which is the thing that makes us feel happy. And they enhance our mood immediately. So I want you to think about being thankful for something small and silly helps. It helps. And so gratitude begins to free us from toxic emotions. Right now, I have to closely monitor my time on social media because there is so much hate and anger and angst. People are hurting and they're hurting each other. They're saying hateful things. I have been called more names in the last 3 days, I think, than I have in the last 3 months. And it feels toxic. And if we don't express gratitude in our lives, we will become awash in all this toxicity. And I'm going to talk about some very practical ways that we can practice gratitude in the middle of all this. Gratitude doesn't have to be something that you shout from the rooftops. You don't have to write letters to people. It can be something, again, what I call small and silly, where you may feel like, oh, I feel silly sitting here saying I feel grateful. But the reality of it is that the practice of gratitude helps you, whether you share it with others or you keep it to yourself. I talked about the effects on the brain, but I want you to see this chart and bear in mind, I'm happy to send you any information after these workshops that you might possibly need. So gratitude is the pathway to optimism, sugar-free positivity. We're thankful for what we have. We're thankful for what we know. We're thankful for what we are. Gratitude also leads to selflessness, where we aren't so consumed with what we want and we need. We're thinking about what other people think. Gratitude carries us closer to the divine. Gratitude, I believe, is a way that we connect with one infinite creator, the source, God, our spirits and angels. Gratitude carries us there. Gratitude helps us understand how other people feel. I'm so grateful for what I have. Golly, how does someone feel who doesn't have that? Oh, they want what I have. They don't have it for whatever reasons. It helps us put ourselves in their shoes as they are. And then finally, I think being grateful, self-esteem, they call it self-esteem for a reason. It's yours. No one can actually give it to you or take it away from you. You just have to learn how to build and develop it. We always think, oh, my parents took away my self-esteem. No, they just didn't teach you how to build your own self-esteem. But by being grateful for who we are, by being grateful for what's going on in our lives, it actually is one of the components to working to build our self-esteem. So again, what's in it for you? I could talk all day about this, that, and the other, but you do want to know what's in it for you. So by being grateful, I told you about dopamine and serotonin. Well, what does that do? It makes you feel better. Well, where does that go? That means you're going to feel like exercising. When I changed my thinking from I have to exercise to I get to exercise, I get to move. I am physically capable of moving. And when I shifted that, I actually felt proud to be able to walk on the treadmill or to do one of those aerobic videos that kicks my butt. It actually, stress, we all have seen the commercials about weight that talk about cortisol. Well, stress produces these bad chemicals that actually inhibit our organ function. The other thing I found was it actually, studies have shown that it decreases our stress, anxiety, depression, and headaches, and it increases our capacity for self-care, which we're actually going to be talking about next week. And our social well-being. Sometimes I don't think we make the connection between being negative and people don't like us or get along with us or want to be with us or want to include us. And then we feel more negative. And so it's this spiral where you're circling the drain without recognizing that your lack of gratitude for other people, for life, for opportunities or experiences, or just the sheer fact that you're breathing, that we're driving people away by our attitudes. So what do you need to do? In the midst of all this turmoil, let's talk about how do you make gratitude a new habit? And so, first of all, I want you to be thinking about how many times a day are you saying thank you or please? It is very easy for us to forget who and what helps make our lives easier and better. You know, there's a lot of complaining about, you know, service in the store, service in the restaurant. What if you were to, for just one moment, suspend your judgment and just say thank you? How many times a day do you actually say thank you to people with whom you interact, whether you know them or not? So a practical application of that is, starting today, I want you to say thank you to somebody at least 3 times a day. Maybe you thank your spouse for doing something, or you thank your children for doing something that is their chore, but you appreciate the fact that they did it. I want you to think about how many times a day you're consciously thinking of things you're grateful for. I know my husband and I have coffee out on the deck most every morning. And it's easy to start the day with, okay, here's all the things we have to do today. And can you believe that news story? And did you see that meme that somebody posted? And oh my God, I'm so tired of being quarantined, blah, blah, blah. But once we caught ourselves doing that, we actually have made a conscious effort. Again, this is doing our intention over instinct, where we are consciously choosing, okay, golly, we get to do this today. Or, hey, oh, look how beautiful our backyard is. Or, you know, this is really great that we get to spend this kind of time together. So I want you to spend the next 24 hours without complaining, either out loud or in your thoughts. The minute a complaint comes to mind, I want you to say, well, this sucks, and I'm going to find something to be grateful for. Because gratitude is a habit, just like bitching and moaning is a habit. And then I want you to think about, how many times a day are you grateful for some aspect of what's going on in your life? With you, you know, it's easy for us to, particularly when we're alone with ourselves so much right now, everything's wrong. I'm so disorganized. I feel so discombobulated. Me too, right? You're saying to yourself, I feel nuts. Yeah, me too. But when I sit and think about how magical I am as just a human being, not, oh my God, Sarah's so great, but just as a human being, how we function, and I'm breathing, and I can see, and I can smell and taste, and, you know, what is it that you appreciate about yourself? What is it that if you met you, that you would think was pretty cool? And then the last thing is, when you first wake up in the morning, it is literally a habit to think, oh God, it's Monday, or oh my gosh, you know, another day of quarantine, or oh my gosh, I'm an essential worker and I have to go to work. We're habitualizing negativity. And so what I want you to start doing is, when you wake up in the morning, first of all, yay, I woke up. We didn't have, you know, the apocalypse bingo and a meteor hit the planet. So yay, I woke up. Or, you know, golly, I slept really good, or I slept, or, you know, I'm just so glad to be here. So these are some basic things. I don't want to run out of time. So here are some other ways to cultivate gratitude, and they're in 3 categories. So pick what resonates for you right now. There are things you can actively do. I love writing thank you notes. I keep note cards everywhere, and I try to at least send out 1 or 2 notes a week. And it may be someone, you know, who's had a death, and it's easy for them to feel forgotten after the hubbub of, you know, the funeral and everything. And so I try to send out notes to people who've lost a loved one for a week or 2 or more after they've had that tragedy. I am not a journaler, but some people are, so perhaps a gratitude journal. I actually found some interesting, that's what the asterisks are, to remind me to look at my notes. So research shows that recording experiences for which you are grateful, doing it only for 2 weeks, has lasting positive effects that can be sustained up to 4 to 6 months. So if you just spent 2 weeks writing down a few things every day that you're grateful for, that lifts your spirit, changes your brain chemistry with lasting effects up to 4 to 6 months. What if you did that all the time? Again, I'm not a journaler, but I do practice gratitude in other ways, and I'll tell you about that. Or you could make a list. If you don't keep a journal where you do something every day, it's just you make a list that you keep in front of you. What are you grateful for? I like to speak it aloud. I am a verbal person. And so I just like to say as much as I can, I'm so grateful. I'm just so grateful. And I am. We do, we have shit happen here at our house too. But I have a 100% success rate of getting through bad times somehow, my credit's been trash in the past. It may be trash after all this. I've had health issues before. I may have them again, but I have a 100% success rate of getting through that. And so I like to speak that aloud. I'm grateful for, isn't that beautiful? Wow, doesn't that smell good? Those of you who may follow me on Facebook, I ordered a tiara because it made me feel fun. It felt fun when I'm out watering in 100-degree weather, my garden, right? So I'm the garden fairy out there. Things to be. This is what this actual central list is what I think is super important. Is right now we feel raw because there is nothing to distract us from seeing the souls of other people. My friend Kat Taylor Willoughby said that the other day in a conversation, and I just can't keep repeating it enough. We're raw because we have nothing to distract us from seeing the souls of other people. Some people are struggling. They're coping by being hateful. We are all hurting. We're all a little, it doesn't matter. I think it doesn't matter what you think or believe. I think we're all feeling discombobulated. What if, and we're going to practice it here in just a minute, 2 minutes every day, just be still. 2 minutes, and we're going to do that before we go to the Q&A. Be still. Be silent. And the second thing is to be aware of the magic around you. Before I turned my camera on, I was sitting here watching, of all things, the dust that was floating around in the light between my computer and the top of my desk here. And it was beautiful. It was kind of like, a bunch of dust. And I wasn't tempted to say, oh my God, that's so dusty. I was like, wow, isn't that really cool? Because my practice of gratitude shifts my perspective. The other thing is, I think another way to cultivate gratitude is we're engaging conversations that we have no business engaging in. I don't believe our job is to change people's mind. And I think that we use silence as a weapon and not a tool. I want you to be grateful for the ability to be silent and be silent in love. You don't have to engage in every conversation. Even if someone says something to you, you can be grateful that you're comfortable with yourself and your decisions. Yeah, you're hurt and angry, but you don't have to change them. You don't have to change their point of view. You can just be grateful, and you can say, you know what, I'm going to be silent here. I'm not going to answer. I don't have to get the last word. Out of love, not fear, not anger, not anything else, but out of gratitude for the sheer fact that you could choose. And then finally, things to see. This is a age-old psychological technique for when people are having panic attacks, is that it's grounding, basically. And I have a dear friend that has some such panic attacks that sometimes she will lay on concrete and pull up her shirt so that her bare skin is touching it because it soothes her. And I think we get so busy with virtual life, virtual living, we're rushing. Even when we're at home, we're so frantically trying to stay busy, we lose touch, and we literally feel like we're a spinning top, or we're becoming disengaged. And so focus on what you can see. It's 100 freaking degrees out there, but by God, we have beautiful blue skies. What can you smell? Flowers, perfume. I got to show you. My mom died about 10, 11 years ago, and she loved Lily of the Valley. And I found this bottle of Lily of the Valley spray. And when I start feeling stressed, I spray this. And it reminds me of her and how much I love her. And it actually makes me so grateful. And so, how can you cultivate that? What about taste? I think we eat so fast. We're shoveling food in our mouth without really tasting it. And I took a mindfulness course that actually pushed the experience to an extreme where you spent like a minute chewing and tasting feeling the texture, rolling the food around in your mouth. What are you actually experiencing when you eat? What we are looking for satisfaction, but we're not finding it because we're not actually experiencing the things that we're going through right now. We're either running from the pain and we have to go through that, or we're rushing through the pleasure. And the other thing is touch. Soft kitty. Isn't there a little song about that? Do you have pets? Do you have different textures in your home? Can you get out in the dirt? I think that part of cultivating gratitude is actually experiencing the life around us. I don't want to run out of time. So, okay, so here we're going to have our practice, our gratitude practice. And so what I want you to do is I want you to see this concept, and then we'll go to the next slide. I have not met this guy in person, but we've exchanged some messages. And I will tell you, this is the attitude I want you to think about is, we have amazing lives, right? You may or may not have all your senses. Donna Mac, I'm going to call you out, girl. I hope you love me enough to bear with me, but Donna Mac is sight impaired. Well, so she can appreciate other things. Some people who are on this particular show right now have fibromyalgia or other immunity diseases where they don't feel good. Well, they have other senses. So the point I'm trying to make is in the midst of turmoil isn't projecting false gratitude. If I'm struggling to make ends meet because I, as a self-employed person, haven't had work in a while, okay, what do I do have? All right, how can I express gratitude in other ways? It is not about ignoring the things that are wrong, but it's about, in the middle of all of it, at least taking the moment to appreciate what's right. Because here's what I believe, that by expressing gratitude, living gratitude, showing gratitude, we are saying, yes, please, more of this to the universe. That whatever we're focused on is going to increase. If you're focused on anger, hate, negativity, all the bad things that are going on in the world, that's all you're going to see. Again, the theory, the study, if you're looking for yellow butterflies, you'll see them. But if you're not, you're like, what yellow butterflies? So here's what we're going to do. We have time. I want to, as you watch this, I want you to just get comfortable, and I want you to close your eyes. And I want you to just feel grounded for just a moment. Put your hands on your legs, put your hands on your desk, wherever you want to just be comfortable and be seated. And then I want you to take in a big breath. I want you to put your shoulders down. And I want you to take in another deep breath. If you feel silly doing this, you're not doing it enough. If you feel silly slowing down, being still, that is your sign that you're not doing this enough. Because when we are relaxed, we are the most open to our own mental suggestions. And so as you sit here and you're breathing deeply, I want you to just think about one thing that you're grateful for, just one. And I want you to focus on that thing. I want you to think about how it makes you feel when you see it or hear it or touch it. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for life. I'm grateful for life. and the magic that we have in us. And it just fills me. Think about what fills you. What is in your life? Family, friends, nature. What fills you? And I want you to visualize the last time you were in that position, you were with that person, you were out in nature, you were doing that thing, whatever you're grateful for. Think about the last time that you did that and how good that felt. And I just want you to keep doing that for just a minute. Be thinking, focus on that. Focus on that thing about what you're grateful. If you have several things, focus on those. How do they make you feel? This is what I want you to do once a day. We've spent 2 minutes doing this, just 2. And I hope it's made a difference for you. I hope it's helped you feel better. Now, we are going to go to the Q&A. And what we're going to do during this period, if you need notes from today, message me. If you want any of the graphics that you saw in the presentation, message me. If you look at the other videos, anything that you need, send me a message through the page, and I'm happy, if I am able, I'm happy to help. So in the Q&A section, this is where if you have issues, like not issues that we can resolve in a short conversation, hints and tips, if you have ideas you want to share with other people, that's what this particular section is for. I don't belabor it, so if there are no questions, we'll be done here. But I am at your service to answer these questions, so I need you to bear with me while I go back through the thread and see if anybody has any questions. And I did not see any, so I'm going to wait a minute or two and see if anybody has anything. Oh, here we go. Donna said she bought a tiara the day before her divorce and how therapeutic that was for her. This is the thing. Now, I got to tell you a true story. I have had people actually give me a hard time. People will disparage you sometimes for being positive. I've been called everything from, unenlightened to sheep to, I simplify things too much or whatever. Gratitude is a weird and uncomfortable thing for some people. And practicing gratitude is going to improve your mental, physical, spiritual, and emotional health. And again, I am at your service. I don't see any questions. It's been a couple of minutes. But just know that if you have any questions, need any information, here's how you can help me. If this video helps you, will you share it? If you have ideas for other topics, please let me know. But until we get together again, my friends, you have been zinced.